Contesting aeromobility, constructing alternatives, the prefigurative politics of staying on the ground. In recent years, the concept of prefiguration has become prominent in environmental politics, highlighting how everyday activism can transform unsustainable consumption practices. The Swedish flight-free movement is a key example, challenging the cultural norm of frequent flying by encouraging people to stay grounded for the climate. This form of activism goes beyond finding alternative travel methods. It experiments with a lifestyle where long-distance travel is reconsidered, focusing on avoiding rather than replacing non-essential consumption. This approach emphasizes cultural change over material change as crucial to achieving low-carbon lifestyles. Environmental activism today is increasingly woven into everyday life practices, reflecting a shift from targeting macro-level structures to promoting sustainable living. Movements like reuse groups, local energy initiatives, and alternative food networks exemplify this trend, each striving to create and diffuse sustainable lifestyles. The political effectiveness of these movements is debated, yet their transformative potential is increasingly recognized. Prefigurative politics, or the creation of alternative social relations in the present, is a key concept here. These movements envision a desirable future and live as if it is already reality, illustrating an alternative society. Various everyday environmental practices, from eco-villages to zero-waste lifestyles, are described as prefigurative. These practices aim to embody sustainable material systems and flows, forming part of a broader politics of everyday life that challenges high-carbon consumption behaviors. The flight-free movement in Sweden exemplifies prefigurative environmentalism, contesting the glamorized practice of flying by living the change it advocates. This movement shows how a practice that is not essential yet culturally embedded can be challenged through everyday activism. Flying is a form of non-essential consumption, deeply ingrained in social norms and often seen as a part of personal identity. Even environmentally conscious individuals are often reluctant to reduce air travel, making it a significant target for the flight-free movement's cultural shift. The article investigates how the Swedish flight-free movement embodies prefigurative politics. Through interviews and document analysis, it explores how this movement redefines a good life around ecological responsibility rather than the desire to explore the world through travel. Findings reveal that the movement focuses on creating new values and identities that prioritize abstaining from certain forms of consumption. This approach is crucial, especially when sustainable material alternatives are insufficient or lacking. The political relevance of everyday practices like these is a subject of academic debate. Traditional social movement theories often overlook the dynamics of everyday activism, focusing instead on collective actions targeting government policy. In contrast, literature on everyday activism highlights the political potential of mundane and routine practices. This includes political consumerism and lifestyle politics, which emphasize that everyday life matters for social and political change. In environmentalism, everyday activism aims to create sustainable living practices through informal groups and networks. These initiatives collectively resist unsustainable behaviors and actively promote alternatives, reflecting a shift from policy-oriented to everyday forms of activism. This shift has spurred scholarly interest and debate about the political effectiveness of such movements. Some argue that focusing on lifestyle changes individualizes responsibility for environmental issues, while others see it as crucial for illustrating sustainable alternatives. Prefiguration, which embodies utopian alternatives in the present, has become a key focus within social movement studies and environmental politics. This concept helps to understand how movements develop more sustainable material systems and relationships. Environmental movements organizing in prefigurative ways aim to reconfigure material necessities, yet often overlook consumption driven by wants rather than needs. This gap raises questions about prefiguration's role in non-essential consumption practices. Analyzing Sweden's flight-free movement through Yates' approach to prefiguration, the article explores how alternative practices are constructed and diffused. This approach is well established in prefiguration scholarship and helps to unpack how diverse groups practice prefiguration. The flight-free movement's commitment to staying grounded for the climate exemplifies an everyday activism focused on cultural change. It challenges ingrained high-carbon practices by living out the desired low-carbon alternatives. Key informant interviews and document analysis reveal the movement's strategies and motivations. The findings emphasize the importance of creating new cultural norms and values that support sustainable living, rather than solely relying on material changes. Through its focus on prefiguration, the article contributes to understanding everyday environmental activism's potential to transform high-carbon practices. It shows that cultural change is as vital as material change in the pursuit of sustainable lifestyles in a carbon-constrained world.